cases, 78% of people leave their jobs, not because of their boss, because of lack of appreciation.
Yeah.
And the willingness to listen to somebody and their thoughts by not interrupting them, letting it completely through, you may not agree with them, is a show of appreciation. So it's like when somebody comes into the office, I got a problem. Yes. And what's the problem? And yes, how are you going to fix it? What are your thoughts on what we need to do? I'm not here to solve your problems, but I'm here to help you learn how to solve your problems through a process and idea generation. Improv is wonderful for idea generation because it's separated into two pieces: divergent thinking and convergent thinking. Divergent thinking is, I want ideas. I want crazy ideas. And there's no naysayers. There's no, devil's advocate. Oh, we can't do that. You're thrown out of the room. You come up with as many ideas as you can.
Welcome to AFO Wealth Management Forward, a podcast about finance, accounting, technology, and entrepreneurship. We apply our decades worth of experience and insight into what makes businesses work, so we can help others grow both personally and professionally. In this ever-evolving marketplace, we help accounting firms and financial advisors grow their practice through the adoption of holistic wealth management services. Learn from industry leaders and subject matter experts to unlock the secrets of their success. A podcast that shows people and companies the transformative power of technology so they don't fear it, but instead harness it. Don't fight the robots, team up with them. And here are your hosts, Rory Henry, Director of Business Development, and CEO Rob Santos of Arrowroot Family Office.
Hi, everyone. Today we are joined by Peter Margaritis. He is an improv virtuoso. He's a certified speaking professional. He's a CPA and is known as the accidental accountant. He's authored books such as Improv is No Joke, Taking the Numb Out of Numbers, and Off Script, The Art of Business Improv. Rob, you know that I'm a fellow improviser, so I'm thrilled to have him on with us today. So without further ado, let me introduce our guest, Peter Margaritis. Peter, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Peter, that introduction said it all.
And that's
that is awesome. I can't wait to be able to learn more about your journey and how you got to where you are. So maybe we just kind of start off there. Could you give our audience a little background on yourself and, what led you to become the accidental accountant and start teaching business improv?
Well, actually, the accidental accountant came about. I used to work for Victoria's Secret Catalog, not as a model. I appreciate everybody going there. No, I was in accounting and finance, and my boss, one of my first reviews before my cheeks hit the seat, she goes, "How in the hell did you ever become a CPA? CPAs can get all down in there. I can get you about this far. You're an accidental accountant." And I said, "That's the nicest thing you've said to me all year." But then I turned to her and said, "By the way, when you want something done in this building, who do you ask to get it done for you?" "Well, you, Pete, because your cheeks were never in the seat." I'm like, no. No, there's a stereotype about CPAs within this building. I get in the profession late in life. I started when I turned 30. And I told her, I said, we're in the information gathering business. So when I walk into someone's office, just as the CPA from the accounting and finance department, nobody wants to talk to me. They'll come in and think I'm just going to tell them, no.
You're the no guy.
And I'm the no guy. But if they get to know me as Pete, and I have lunch with them, I have some coffee with them, we go off cocktails, they're going to tell me a lot more stuff because now we've got this relationship. And I don't think she quite understood it at that time. But that's kind of that journey. I got into this late. I'm Greek American. I should be in a restaurant. And actually, I have restaurant tendencies. I binge watch the Food Channel. Diners, Drives, and Dives is probably my favorite one. I've done stand-up before. Not very good because I'm hanging out with you two guys on at 4 o'clock. But that's where I found improv, because one of the guys said, I do an improv workshop. Why don't you join me? We got a group that meets. I said, I'll try anything.
Yeah.
Comedically. And I went into this workshop and went, this is weird. I thought we were going to write stuff. They're doing these silly games and do this yes and And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't know, man, I'm probably not going to come back. At the end of the class, the instructor said, hey, next week, I want you guys to study the 70s. And if you lived during the 70s, you might want to study them because you probably don't remember them, which I thought was a great line. And I said, oh, I didn't have the homework assignment. So I studied the 70s. I came in that next week and I was funny. And I went, wait, those who didn't study actually stunk. And this huge light went off in my head. I said, wow, improv is not about writing jokes. The pattern, the format. Improv is about the amount of knowledge you have about what your experiences are.
Yes.
And the ability to apply that at any given moment. I fell in love. And I've been in this 25, 30-year marriage with improv. And it's just been the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't told my improv story on the podcast yet. And I feel obligated to kind of do so, Peter. You know, I call it the NBC story. I've told friends and family members. I had a major fear of public speaking. It happened in the 8th grade. I was set to do my ASB speech. And to give you some context, my brother was a junior in high school, and he was trying out for the lead in Godspell, Jesus.
No.
And so he was trying out, and the senior in that class was Milo Ventimiglia, who is the father on This Is Us. He's America's dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the sophomore in that class, who's a year younger than my brother, is Mikey Day, who's a lead writer on SNL and one of the main actors, comedic, brilliant guy.
Yeah.
So he's going out for this role. He lands the role. So in my life, my brother, I looked up to him. He was a Christ-like figure to me. So I'm a pimply-eyed, a pimply-faced kid going out for my 8th grade ASB speech. And he tells me, Rory, you got to go out there. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to sing Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You. And so I go, oh, are you kidding me? So I practice. I'm singing Whitney Houston. I'm preparing. I go up there and I start singing it. I have a high-pitched voice, and all of a sudden the kids boo me. I cry and run off stage. And for 20 years, I couldn't do any type of public speaking. So that's what got me into improv, which led to this podcast and all that stuff. So, you know, with that being said, Peter, I love to hear your thoughts on ways that people out there can use improv skills to get over these fears of public speaking or speaking in front of crowds.
Well, I got a great story for you. And you may know this gentleman in history. His name is Martin Luther King. He improvised the I Have the Dream speech. And this is written in Forbes, and I researched it thoroughly in my book. And Martin Luther King was you know, down when he would write his speech, his sermons, he would craft it 15, 18, 20 hours. And at one point in time in history, when Rosa Parks got arrested, he was asked to address this big group because he was a part of this association, and he wanted to go work on it. He says, you don't have time, you got to get out there. So he goes out there to speak, and the way he goes, these words are coming out of my mouth that I would never use in a sermon. However, they're authentic and people are gravitating to them, and they're really resonating, and they're really just coming off the cuff, but through his head. And when I tell people that story, they're fascinated by it. I said, but here's the one thing. The I Have the Dream piece was in the speech the night before, but as they were honing it, they took it out. So he's reading the audience, and you can see this happen if you watch the whole video. About 2/3 of the way, he's not getting that response from the audience. And there's a woman by the name of Michaela Jackson, who was the gospel singer who knew Martin Luther King was on stage with him, said, tell me about your dream, Martin. Now, I can't find anywhere where he says he heard it, but at that moment, he pushed his speech aside and went into the I Have the Dream speech. It all came from heart, but it all came from over preparing. And that's what I tell people about doing public presentations, doing speeches, doing workshops, saying you over prepare. So much so that when you walk in the room, you wad it up and you throw it away. And now you can work with the audience. You can see where they want to go. And if you're having an impact on them, and if you're not, that's when you can move in a different direction and be nimble. And some have this look of pure terror.
Yeah.
I look at it, I love it when I get to do that. I was telling somebody the other day, I love working without a net. I've got something
Yeah.
in hand. I come into a speech, or I come into something, and something happens, and I can just improvise my way through it and go, that's not how it started, but this is how we ended. And it met the needs of the audience. I'm not so worried about myself, but it met what the audience wanted.
I love it. And there's so many lessons in that. I mean, we don't have enough time to unpack everything that you just said, but there's a lot of wisdom there, and it kind of going in that trend, at AFO Wealth Management Forward. One thing that we started the program with, and one thing that we really focus on a lot of accounting firms we work with, is a shift in mindset, right? Which I think is quite similar to what you just talked about, which is this shift in mindset of, you got to write this out, and you're going to read it verbatim, and remember to look up, and, you're going to overthink, and you're going to stay very here. For us to use the analogy of a shifting mindset of just compliance work into more of an advisory model, which might include wealth management services. Can you kind of talk about how your principles of improv, business principles of improv, are helping accountants with that mind shift, not just for public speaking, but also for their businesses?
Well, the foundations, the principles, the tenets of improv start with the foundation of three things: respect, trust, and support. If you don't have respect for the other person, you know what I call that? The American political system. Except when it comes to, we want to change daylight savings time.
That was a big victory.
We need a drum set for this podcast.
So I don't have to like you, but I should have respect for you. Respect should go vice versa. I need to be able to trust you, and I have to have trust for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here as a leader, I'm here to support. As a firm, I'm here to support. As a CPA, I'm here to support my clients, and the people around me will help to support me. If one of those is missing in that foundation, improv falls completely apart.
Yeah.
So if you get that good solid foundation, now here's the hard part. If you remember this, we listen to understand, not listen to respond.
Yeah.
We live in a very much a listen to respond environment. Egos, biases, agendas, and think of what we're going to say, and really not. Alan Alda said this, and I'm going to butcher this quote. Listening is the art of being willing to be changed by somebody else's thoughts. You don't have to, but you're willing to. So in improv, we listen to understand. We park our ego, we park our agenda. We're 110% present, focused in the moment with the listening. And by doing so, we can adapt to anything that comes at us. But there's two magic words that keep this all together. Yes. And I've got this blue boy shirt. I wear it all the time. I'm actually thinking about getting a yes and
tattooed. Our good friend Jay Succo has it tattooed.
Is that how you know me?
Yeah. Oh no. Well, Jay's a mutual friend. Jay was one of my coaches being brought up in improv.
Yeah.
I love Jay Succo. He is who Ted Lasso is in real life.
Oh, that is awesome.
And he kind of looks like him too. We got to get him on the podcast, Rob. This is an amazing individual.
He's my improv coach. And he wrote the preface for the book, and we have monthly calls.
He is Ted Lasso. Yes.
Yeah. But if you take all of those and you put them together, and you're sitting in front of a client, we actually listen to what they want, what they need, versus I've got this script in my head, what I think I'm going to sell them or whatever. And even have the respect for them to say, you know what you're asking for, I don't have. However, I know somebody who does, and I would happily refer you to them. That's how good. But a lot of times we are so trapped in our heads, and we've got somebody said, well, what keeps you up at night? And the CFO, the client's telling you, they're giving you what they want.
Yeah.
But if you don't respond with solutions to those remarks, they immediately know that you haven't listened really to a word that they've said. And that's the key. Listening is hard.
Yeah.
What'd you
And
say?
the active listening, the tactical listening was so huge. And you can't come into an improv scene with any type of agenda or pre-planned jokes. It falls flat
Right.
on its face. I mean, I've been on stage when I was coming up, and I remember I had so many good one-liners that I thought of, and I would try to bring it out, and my partner would look at me blindly, and you can hear a pin drop in the audience.
Yeah.
So it's the beauty of improv, is really what is the last thing that was said, and then try to build off of that.
Right.
With that being said, what are some ways we as leaders can better communicate with our team as well? Not only clients, but how can we create that active listening environment within our team?
I think one way is just the two magic words. Now, there's some things that I say yes, and it's also a nicer way of saying no in some situations.
Mm-hmm.
In the book, I found the statistic, I researched it, I forgot who the group was, but they said 78% of people leave their jobs not because of their boss, because of lack of appreciation.
Yeah.
And the willingness to listen to somebody and their thoughts by not interrupting them, letting it completely through, you may not agree with them, is a show of appreciation. So it's like when somebody comes into the office, I got a problem. Yes. And what's the problem? And yes, how are you going to fix it? What are your thoughts on what we need to do?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here to solve your problems, but I'm here to help you learn how to solve your problems through a process and idea generation. Improv is wonderful for idea generation because it's separated into two pieces: divergent thinking and convergent thinking.
Uh-huh.
Divergent thinking is, I want ideas. I want crazy ideas. And there's no naysayers. There's no, devil's advocate. Oh, we can't do that. You're thrown out of the room. You come up with as many ideas as you can. You let it percolate for a while.
Yeah.
Then you bring the convergent thinking in. What can we do? What can't we do? And then you criticize. But if you're in a meeting and your boss says, so, Rob, you got any ideas about this? And you give an idea, goes, well, we can't do that. What are you thinking? Are you likely to offer up any other ideas?
Yep. No, we, it's been very interesting working with enterprise software companies in the human capital management space throughout COVID, because a lot of these value propositions that companies are trying to provide to employees and also to their clients, when you're remote, it's harder to do that. So there's a lot of folks that were doing just that, but it was all in person, knock on the door and, hey, Jen, how you doing? Let's talk about that other thing at another time. And then we all went virtual. And so, now we've seen a lot of folks realize a couple of things that you just said. One, marketing is important. Workflows are important. Time management is important and things like that. But employee retention is really, really important. And collaboration is really, really important. And a lot of the studies, the academic studies that are coming out, Freakonomics talks about this all the time, is that this retention of employees and collaboration should be at the top of what organizations are looking to do. But accountants, what we've found, are so, we're into numbers and things like that. So they're so into timesheets and seeing how much time people are doing. It really takes away from those two big items. Do you see that often with a lot of accountants that you work with?
Oh, I love really irritating accountants on this. If I'm doing a workshop and I go, oh, by the way, what business are you guys in? No, seriously, what business are you in? Yeah, we're in consulting. That's a byproduct. We're in tax, byproduct. Wealth management, byproduct. So, and I get them to the point that one of them wants to come up and punch me in the face. And I go, the business that you're in the people business. First and foremost, without people, you have no business. Start treating your people right. They're not just a number. And because if you hire these people, trust them too. We can't let them work at home. Pandemic hits, the greatest improv exercise ever. We're improvising every single
new scene, a pandemic. New choice, World War.
Oh, please. No.
No, yeah, right.
Yeah. But it just baffles me how that thought of, I'm in the people business, so without these people, I can't get anything done. Without clients, I can't get anything done. And that was the preface for me writing my second book, Taking the Numb Out of Numbers, because they speak accounting. It's a foreign language. I didn't realize it till the woman, my wife, when I was dating her, she was a general manager for Macy's department store. I'd come to the apartment after a long day at Price Waterhouse. And what'd you do today? Quit talking Chinese. I have no idea what you're saying. I just said, but in the accounting language. And I went, she's right. I actually do speak a foreign language, accounting. And accountants, financial professionals, medical professionals, all technical professions need to learn how to speak in plain English and translate. I had some tests done that my doctor, not the assistant, called me on a Friday afternoon. This is not going to be good. And she said, Pete, and started in this litany of medical terminology. I said, Dr. Hoffmeister, stop, please. Can you just tell me in plain English what you're trying to tell me medical? She paused and went, you may have cancer. Thank you. I know. At least I know. What are we going to do? No. In plain English. Knock on wood, I did not have cancer.
Oh, thank heaven.
Yeah.
We hear that all the time. We all have our
Specialties,
specific languages that we use, and we think everybody understands it.
Yeah.
SEC is the Securities and Exchange Commission, but in Alabama and Georgia,
It's football.
It's football.
Or it's life.
That's a religion.
Yeah.
That's a Southeastern Conference. Yeah.
I mean, I think you've talked about it. It's the curse of knowledge.
It's the curse of knowledge. That's
Yes. And, accountants have all this technical knowledge. What are just some real easy tips or tools that you can provide to our audience that allow them to speak to them more in layman terms, Pete?
Well, one, look at your client. If you see the deer in the headlights, you got to shake it up.
Yeah.
And the DNA of an accountant is we want to show them everything. They just need to know the top three things and why. They need to know the cash, they need to know this, and they need to know that. And put it to them in a way, create stories, create analogies about their business and use it in their business.
Their language.
Yeah, in their language, in their business terms. But I think a lot of public accounts will go, well, how do I charge for that? And I just want to beat my head against a wall. That extra 2, 3, 4 hours, however you charge it, who cares? You're making a better connection with your client. I've actually started a fractional CFO revenue stream because I referred a colleague to a firm. And long story short, she called me on one day and she was in tears. She said, I just got the call with the accountant. It made me feel stupid. They didn't mean to, but they made me feel stupid. They know that I don't understand. And then they went to the spreadsheet on Zoom that to me, it looked like 10,000 rows and 1,000 columns. And I said, could you be my fractional CFO and be the translator between me and them? And I went, no. And she kept asking. And finally I said, okay, I'll try it. Let's give it 4 months and we'll see. I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
But it's that, just recognize the fact that they speak a foreign language is step one.
Yep.
Find ways of translating that.
Yeah. And from our experience with working with accounting firms who are doing this kind of mind shift into more advisory, that is a big hurdle that we've seen a lot of folks. We use enterprise software like Betterment or Asset Map. And, wonderful thing about Asset Map is it just asks some really high level questions, high level. What do you think is here? What do you think is there? Just give us as much information as you're kind of comfortable. And it summarizes it down into one sheet. So you can just have kind of 1 or 2 or 3 insights about some stuff or ask some questions around it. And one thing that accountants always ask us is, boy, that's just going to take up a lot of time. I need to get the clients in. I need to give them some direct advice. I need to get them out the door because I'm so swamped. And, how am I charging for this initial kind of bits and pieces? And we show them the math of shifting to this, recurring revenue stream, advisory model. A lot of it's outsourced, so not a ton of responsibilities. And those 1 or 2 hours and a lifetime value of a client that you've built this connection to is like 100 times more valuable than the tax return,
140s.
than what you're doing on the tax
They're
return.
making you lose your hair.
And you feel great, and the client feels great, and speaking to another shift that we're seeing, and especially with the younger generation that just had to go through COVID while they were getting new jobs, is the studies have all shown that money and a lot of these other things that people think are what incentivizes people to try to take jobs or work hard or be more efficient is like the fourth or fifth item down there. That personal connection and relationship, both from the employees and the employers, is vitally important. And the value of that is just starting to be unpacked and kind of realized. So we see that a lot. How do you get accountants to start, what's the kind of first step to start implementing some of this? Is it improvising? Is it asking them lots of questions until they want to hit you in the face and they walk out and then they come back and think about it? Yeah. I mean, what are some of the tools in your tool belt that you bring out to try to help with that mind shift?
I would suggest that they work on their listening skills first and foremost. And if you're swamped, we're in the people business. Go find some people so you're not swamped. So you can focus on your clients. Now, do we focus on all of them? No, but you should focus on that 20% that brings you 80% of your revenue. You should be completely focused on them and not so much on the smaller clients who might be just ankle biters or something. But take that professional approach, but also be aware of how they react. Always watch their body language. And also they need to watch their body language and how they're coming across. And well, I've got to get this client out so I get this other client in. They feel that. That's called being a number. And nobody wants to feel like they're a number. They want you to think that, I've had some financial plan. This one financial planner I have, when I'm with him, I know he makes me feel like I'm his only client.
Yeah.
I know he's got a bunch of others, but he takes the time, he's focused, he's prepared, he's younger than I am. And I'm so impressed with this guy, because those who are my age and older, no, not even close. So that would be my advice, but always improvise. I mean, we all improvise. Those
in
of you
life.
who have children, you bring this baby home, they didn't give you a manual to how to do this. So you're improvising, you're searching for solutions all the time in order to take care of that child. My purpose is to make people recognize that everybody's an improviser. That has nothing to do with comedy.
Yeah.
And now use it strategically in your business.
Love it. And, I am, an improviser as a dad and as a business owner. I can totally relate to that.
Rob has a script for the kids for the day.
I
goes haywire.
I absolutely do. But, Rory always says, in improv, they say there isn't anything failing. It's okay to fail. And, the same thing is said in business. Can you kind of speak to the power of that statement and in your interactions with accountants?
Well, accountants are perfectionists.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that. And when I work with accountants, especially in the public speaking aspect, I go, if you're going to be so tightly wound and want to be perfect, this is an imperfect presentation. Maybe Steve Jobs, because he spent hours and hours and hours rehearsing, but you will make mistakes. 9 times out of 10, you're the only one that knows that you made a mistake. The audience doesn't. You just need to make sure, log it in your head, just keep moving forward. But if you're so tied to a script and you forgot a word or forgot a paragraph and you start scrambling, and then now you're panicking. And now when we panic, we don't breathe. We shallow breathe. Now I'm not getting enough oxygen into my brain. I'm starting, sweating. And when that happens, just stop. Take a couple deep breaths. Get the oxygen back in your brain so you can figure out the situation. But don't go into it and think about it this way. The word fail is an acronym, first attempt in learning. I've worked with my son, he's now 21, and I told him, I want you to fail. Now, you can fail a class, you can fail, but the second time you do it, if you fail at something, you better do it differently. But if you're making that same mistake over and over, now we've got a problem. Now we've got an issue. But if you don't fail, you never learn.
Yep. No, tremendous wisdom there. And again, we see from the accountants, as you're saying, the perfectionist side of it, they have a ton of value to give on some things. And for a lot of them, they've had this hesitancy to not say, I don't know, or to say, I don't know. And we coach them a lot to say, it's okay, say, I don't know, but as you were saying before, part of that improvisation and also that ability to build trust, someone trusts you much more when you have the ability to say, you know what, I don't know that answer, but that's a really great question. And I think I know somebody that can be able to bring some value to that answer is highly valuable. But we've seen a lot of folks on the accounting side that have been very hesitant to be able to do it. I don't know, maybe we can at AFO Wealth Management Forward, we could do like a improv comedy tonight for accountants, and just get them up and get the wiggles out and get them to, to try some stuff.
Actually, I do some improv coaching, and one of my clients was a CPA who worked for a finance company. And this guy, actually, you can, if you go to my YouTube channel, Peter A. Margaritis, CPA, CSP, Business Improv Virtuoso, I think is how we rebranded it.
Yeah.
Go to improv exercises. His name was Tyler, and he was good. I mean, we went through this coaching and we worked on stuff, but in these improv exercises, for the most part, he got into it. I mean, he really enjoyed it, which really kind of surprised me. But then again, I guess he trusted me and kind of leaned into it, and he walked away going, all right, thank you. This is exactly what I needed to hear about my business and about my life.
Yeah. And to your earlier point, about failure being a way for us to learn to not fail in the future, failure can be an enormous success, especially for accounting firms, for that very example of focus, people spending 80% of their time to focus on the bottom 10 or 15% of their most profitable business. Mm-hmm. And failing, and maybe those clients aren't a great fit, right? And them leaving may be one of the best things to happen to your business, right, so that you can focus 80% of your time on recurring, high gross margin type of businesses. And that's also a little bit scary as well. Understanding that maybe not all clients are the right client, right, and that's okay.
I mean, I know one of your books there, Peter, I was reading that you did have ways that you can let clients go, that you can fire your clients. Can you have, what's your piece of advice for accounting firms that out there that may need to fire clients?
Well, and this came from a CPA firm. I think they were in the Baltimore area. And we were in a CPE course I was leading. We were talking about this. He goes, I just had to do that. We went and kind of redid our business, and we wanted to take it up another notch. And then when we did that, we saw this group of clients that we could no longer serve, and they wouldn't want to pay our new rate. So what we did was, instead of just firing them, let them wander and straggle around, I interviewed the managing partner, interviewed 4 or 5 other CPA firms that he knew, and told him what he was doing. And I've got a feeling that I've got X amount of clients that, need to go away. Can I refer them to you? Yeah. So he set up, it's like
a nice soft landing.
Yeah. A nice landing. Yeah. Which goes a long way, because if they would have just cut them loose, one of those clients is going to be a big client one day.
Yeah.
now they're never coming back to you, but you off-boarded them, but gave them a home, put them in a place. So when they get that spot, it's like, well, maybe it's time to go back to that firm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where you're in the people business.
Right. It's just having that respect.
Yeah.
For people. It's gratitude. It's servant leadership. It's not about you. It's about the team. The team is more important than you. And I think a lot of times that's hard for people to say in an accounting firm. But I will say that I told a managing partner this, that the collective knowledge outside of his office or her office far exceeded the collective knowledge inside of their office. Go out and ask your people, even those who just started out of college. You never know what they might say that could actually change your business. But if you still look at them like they did, so I'm a baby boomer. My dad would say kids should be seen and not heard. We still have leaders out there that feel that same way with younger staff.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of experience.
Yeah. Yep. And think about those CPAs out there who do work for individuals or who have, maybe sons or daughters who do social media or do SEO. Like that's potential client there, and they can transfer knowledge and probably elevate your practice.
Absolutely.
I've heard some firms out there are doing masterminds with some of their top firms out there,
right,
to really utilize that ecosystem to help everybody out.
Collaboration. It goes back to collaboration. I remember that firms would never collaborate. Why not? Why wouldn't you? I mean, best practices, learn from each other. I mean, we're in this business together. We may be competitors, but we can all learn from each other and grow versus being soloistic. If that's a word I just made up.
Hey, there's no failing.
Yeah, right. I'm going to say siloistic.
Siloistic. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just stuck in my silo.
Yeah. You like silos a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great. So this has been awesome, Peter. I know you just published essential skills CPAs need by the year 2025. Can you kind of discuss those skills? Those essentials, basically those essential skills that CPAs need by 2025. And hey, that's tomorrow. Right.
Yeah. The way it's broken down, and see if I can, the way it's broken down is communication skills are first, then leadership. And I could say leadership involves communication, which could be that overarching, synthesizing information, collaborating with teams. I'm drawing a blank on the other two. The AICPA came up with these essential skills. Problem solving, yeah. But it doesn't say anything about understanding standards. That project that they did, and we're due for another one, but the vision project was the first one that happened.
Yeah.
Really those core competencies really didn't change. But our profession is changing. And if you're not nimble enough to adapt to the changes in the profession with artificial intelligence, those firms who are still doing 1040s, individual 1040s, I don't know what's going to happen to them in a few years. It's all going to be AI driven. Audits actually, the IBM Watson, but that technology has come down to smaller firms.
Yeah.
And actually new clients, they're getting their GLs, putting it through that software and going, where's the risk? Oh my God, there's a lot of risk. Do I take this or not? Versus we'll take it. And then when we get in, holy cow.
Yeah.
We've got risk everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the profession is changing. We need to adapt to it. We're becoming more of a communication business versus data. We're data driven, but we don't have to calculate it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, soft skills seem like it's the future here, Peter. I guess finishing up, what are the best ways that our audience can get in contact with you, improve their soft skills, do some business improv to help them grow professionally and personally?
I've always said when somebody says soft skills, I said, yeah, they might seem soft, but they're pretty hard to master. Wouldn't you agree? And I get that same response. And then the chair of accounting at Oklahoma State University, she said she turned that into power skills. Power skills. Yeah. You can find me on my website, www.petermargaritis, and it's MARGARITIS.com. It's pronounced like a cocktail, but if you look closely, it's spelled like an inflammation. It really should be Margaritis, but you have to take a pill or something. So that's the best way. Go to my website. It's got all my contact information, other contact information. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on social media. LinkedIn primarily.
Yeah,
But
that's how I got a hold of you.
Yeah, that's right. That's how you get a hold of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good way. I don't check LinkedIn as much as I do, but my email address, peter@petermargaritis.com, that's with me 24/7. Despite maybe some feedback I get from others.
Well, Peter, thank you so much for taking the time being on the podcast. It was, not anything against any of our former guests, but it was probably one of the more fun ones that we've done in a long time. And we are certainly going to have you back on, if not more recently, for our accounting stand-up night. It's going to happen.
Nice.
2022, 2023, after busy season, accountants burn off some steam and come and do some improv. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it and really appreciate all that you do and all the content you put out. Very powerful and very useful. And we're looking forward to having you back on sometime soon.
Thank you. I'm gonna make you guys an offer. I'd love to have the both of you on my podcast. So let's see.
Done. All right.
Done. Yeah. No, you've got the brains and the looks, and I'll let you determine which one is which. Rory most of the time has both of them. But we would love to. We would love to come on.
Yeah.
And we got to get Jay Suko involved. He is the Ted Lasso of improv. He is a shining bright light of a human being. Rob, he is just Mr. Positive. He's unbelievable.
Let's do it.
Yeah. We'll get him to come in and join that. It'll be a three-way conversation with Jay, you, and Roy. And we'll I've cut my podcast down to like 20 minutes. That one we might just go.
Yes, I love it.
That sounds great.
I mean, Jay will have us doing games and all sorts of stuff.
I love it.
Good stuff. I appreciate it, Peter.
Thanks so much. All right. Take care. See you. Bye.
All opinions expressed by Rob Santos and Rory Henry on this website podcast interview are solely their opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Arrowroot Family Office, LLC, or their parent company or affiliates, and may have been previously disseminated on television, radio, internet, or another medium. You should not treat any opinion expressed by anyone as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or follow a particular strategy, but only as an expression of their opinions. Past performance is not indicative of future results.